The Grand Council chamber gleamed like a jewel suspended in space, its crystalline walls refracting starlight into countless rainbow patterns across the assembled delegates. Ambassador Jinhui Zhang stood at the central podium, her holographic display casting a soft blue glow across her features. At 32, she was the youngest diplomat ever to address the full council, and her discovery seemed worthy of that honor. Distinguished members of the Galactic Council, she began, her voice clear and confident. I believe I've identified an oversight in our exploration protocols. With a graceful gesture, she expanded the hologram, revealing a spiral galaxy with a single point of light highlighted near one of its arms. The Sol system, located in what we consider the galactic backwaters, contains something remarkable. The chamber maintained its usual sophisticated murmur of translation matrices and environmental systems. Jinhui advanced her presentation, zooming in on a small blue-green planet. This civilization has achieved industrialization, primitive spaceflight, and shows remarkable technological progression patterns. They would be perfect candidates for our cultural exchange program. The murmur stopped. In all her years of diplomatic training, Jinhui had never experienced such absolute silence. 342 species, represented by their most accomplished diplomats, all fell silent simultaneously. Even the quantum translation fields seemed to hold their breath. Elder Council member Verax rose from their crystalline seat, their bioluminescent form casting shifting patterns of light across the chamber floor. When they spoke, their voice carried the weight of millennia. My dear Ambassador Zhang, how long have you served in the diplomatic corps? 7 standard cycles, Elder Varax, Jinhui replied, maintaining her professional composure despite the growing tension in the room. Then you are too young to remember. Varax gestured, and a new hologram appeared alongside Jinhui's presentation. This recording was made 42 cycles ago. It was supposed to be classified until the next galactic convergence, but perhaps it's time we shared it with our younger members. The hologram stabilized, showing a massive battlecruiser of Centaurian design. Jinhui recognized it as the Pride of Dawn, a legendary vessel that had vanished during a routine patrol. The recording's timestamp matched the beginning of the isolation directive. We thought as you did, Varax continued. We saw their potential. The Centaurian Empire, in their wisdom, decided to initiate first contact. The hologram showed the Pride of Dawn approaching Earth, its diplomatic beacons broadcasting peace in 1,000 languages. Then everything went wrong. 3 small ships, barely more than metal tubes with engines attached, approached the cruiser. The Pride of Dawn's captain, following protocol, activated their defensive screens, a standard precaution that should have been completely invisible to such primitive technology. Somehow, the humans noticed. Within minutes, they had reconfigured their ships, scanning equipment, technology designed for basic meteorological observations, to detect and analyze the energy field. Within hours, they had found a way to disrupt it using modified communication arrays. The Pride of Dawn's captain, increasingly concerned, attempted to retreat. That's when the humans revealed their true ingenuity. They hadn't been trying to attack the ship at all. They had been hurting it. The cruiser's retreat path led straight into a field of modified satellites, each broadcasting a specific frequency that played havoc with Centaurian navigation systems. As the Pride of Dawn drifted, paralyzed by the primitive but effective trap, the humans began broadcasting on all frequencies. Not threats, not demands, but music. A single song, repeating endlessly. Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down. The recording ended. Jinhui stood frozen at her podium, her carefully prepared presentation still hovering beside her, now seeming naively optimistic. That song, Varax said softly, still haunts the dreams of Centaurian navigators. The humans didn't just defeat one of our most advanced ships, they turned it into what they call a meme. That's why we have the rule, young one. Not because we fear them, but because we're simply not ready for them. Dr. Isabella Rodriguez traced her fingertips along the crystalline data storage units, Their surfaces cooled to the touch despite the centuries of information pulsing within. The historical wing of the Galactic Council archives stretched endlessly above and below her floating research platform, each level holding the collected knowledge of thousands of civilizations. But she wasn't interested in the prominent sections today. Her security clearance, newly upgraded after the Zhang incident, gave her access to the restricted archives, specifically the sealed records of human contact attempts. As the platform descended to the lower levels, the lighting shifted from the usual bright blue to a cautionary amber. Security Protocol Alpha 7 recognized. "Welcome, Dr. Rodriguez," the archive's AI chimed softly. "Please note that all findings must be reported directly to the Council." Isabella adjusted her data tablet and began her work. The first record pulsed beneath her touch, projecting a holographic display of an event from nearly a century ago. The Marian Scientific Coalition, believing they had found an easy source of research subjects, had attempted to abduct humans from a remote mining facility on Earth. "Oh, you poor fools," Isabella whispered as she watched the footage. The miners, using equipment designed to drill through rock, had somehow modified their industrial lasers into makeshift point defense weapons within hours. When the Marian ships landed, expecting to find cowering primitives, they instead faced an improvised but devastating defense network. The second record showed a similar pattern. The Proximan Trading Guild had attempted to establish a secret monitoring post in what they thought was an unused human structure, an abandoned nuclear power plant. Within days, the human maintenance crew had not only detected their presence, but had jerry-rigged the facility's radiation detection equipment into sensors that could track the aliens' stealth technology. Remarkable adaptation time, Isabella noted in her report. They don't optimize, they improvise. Every solution is imperfect but functional, and they produce new variations constantly. The third record made her sit back in genuine surprise. A lone Jovian scout ship had crashed near what humans call a high school. Instead of panic or violence, the students and teachers had worked together to hide the ship in their auto shop, convincing the local community it was part of an engineering project. They had even repaired the basic systems using textbook physics principles and spare parts from old cars. When did this happen? Isabella checked the timestamp and felt a chill. 3 days before the isolation directive was enacted. She pulled up the original directive, reading it with new eyes. It wasn't written in the usual formal language of council documents. Instead, it read almost like a warning. Leave them alone. Let them grow. We're not ready for what they might become. A soft chime interrupted her thoughts. The Archive AI had found another file, this one sealed with the highest security protocols. With trembling fingers, Isabella authorized access. The hologram showed a simple Earth classroom where a human teacher was explaining basic spatial mechanics to young students. "Now, class," the teacher said, "if you were building a space engine, how would you solve the radiation problem?" 20 different hands shot up, each student proposing a different solution. Some were impossible, some were impractical, but 3 of them were approaches that even the Council's best engineers hadn't considered. These weren't trained scientists, just young humans thinking without the constraints of proper scientific development. Isabella closed the files, her report already taking shape in her mind. The isolation directive wasn't about containing humanity. It was about giving them space to develop their unique approach to problem solving. While the rest of the galaxy had learned to find the right answer, humans had learned to find 1,000 possible answers. As her platform ascended back to the main level, Isabella added one final note: recommendation, maintain the directive. Not for our protection, but because humanity's greatest strength is their ability to solve problems their own way. Let's see what they create when they're ready to reach for the stars on their own terms. Director Sakura Tanaka stood before the curved window of Observation Station Echo, watching Earth rotate slowly beneath clouds and satellites. Her reflection showed the same calm expression she'd maintained for 15 years as head of the Earth Observation Division, though today's reports had nearly cracked that composure. Display monitor 7, she commanded softly. A holographic screen materialized, showing a small workshop in South Korea. A young engineer was tinkering with what she called a gravity manipulation device built from modified microwave parts and an old smartphone. According to the station's sensors, the device actually worked. Add monitor 12. A second screen appeared, displaying a Brazilian university where students had accidentally created a primitive quantum computer while attempting to improve coffee roasting techniques. They had published their findings in what they called a joke paper, unaware they'd solved a problem that had stumped galactic scientists for centuries. Director, her assistant's voice chimed through the comm system. The council requests today's impossibility report. Sakura allowed herself a small smile. That wasn't the official name for their daily briefing, but even the council had begun using the term. Humans had a habit of doing the impossible while trying to accomplish something entirely different. She gestured, and the displays rearranged themselves. A garage in Detroit where someone had built a basic antimatter containment system while trying to create a more efficient car engine. A high school science fair in Mumbai where a student had theorized faster-than-light travel while working on a project about marine biology. A small farm in Kenya that had accidentally developed a primitive terraforming system while experimenting with sustainable agriculture. Send compilation Alpha 7 to the council, she instructed. Flag the Detroit garage for priority observation, and please make sure someone tells Dr. Chen that humans are about to revolutionize his field again. He should have time to prepare himself emotionally. The screens flickered with new data as her team tracked thousands of potential breakthrough points across Earth. Humanity's development curve didn't follow any known pattern. Other species progressed steadily, building each discovery on the foundation of the last. Humans seemed to leap randomly between disciplines, connecting seemingly unrelated concepts to create something new. Director, her assistant interrupted again. We have another Tesla situation. Sakura pulled up the alert. A small technology company had announced plans to build a solar energy collection system that, according to their cheerfully optimistic press release, would revolutionize power distribution. Their design, sketched on a restaurant napkin, would accidentally create a device capable of harvesting energy from alternate dimensions. Probability of success, she asked. According to our models, 70%. They'll likely succeed at dimensional energy harvesting while completely failing at their intended goal. Sakura made a note in her personal log. Humans continue to achieve the impossible primarily when they're trying to do something else entirely. Success rate increases when they're told something is impossible, drops significantly when they actually understand what they're attempting. She turned back to the window, watching night fall over Asia. Somewhere down there, countless humans were casually violating what the galaxy considered immutable laws of physics. They did it not through careful research or advanced technology, but through what they called crazy ideas and worth-a-shot experiments. Update the council directive, she instructed. Maintain current observation protocols, but add a notice. When humanity does join the galactic community, all research safety guidelines will need to be rewritten. Their standard approach to innovation would give our safety officers a collective nervous breakdown. As she prepared for another day of monitoring the impossible, Sakura remembered something her predecessor had told her. The galaxy quarantined Earth not because humans were dangerous, but because they made the impossible look easy. How do you prepare an orderly, logical universe for a species that treats the laws of physics as polite suggestions? The screens continued to flicker with new alerts, each one marking another moment where human ingenuity reshaped what the galaxy thought possible. And somewhere down there, someone was probably inventing faster-than-light travel while trying to build a better toaster. Miguel Herrera was having what he'd call an interesting Tuesday at his auto repair shop in New Mexico. The morning had started normal enough, oil changes, brake checks, and the usual stream of customers asking if that funny noise their car made was expensive. But now he stood before what had to be either the most advanced vehicle he'd ever seen or the strangest hallucination caused by too much coffee. The car parked in his shop bay seemed to be made of flowing liquid metal, its surface rippling like mercury under the fluorescent lights. Its owners weren't any less peculiar, three tall figures wearing what he assumed were elaborate cosplay outfits, complete with environmental suits that made soft whirring sounds when they moved. "Nice costumes," Miguel said, wiping his hands on a shop rack. "Comic convention in town." The tallest figure made a series of clicking sounds before touching a device on their wrist. A mechanical voice responded, "Vehicle requires maintenance. Atmospheric conversion system malfunctioning." Miguel nodded sagely, falling back on 20 years of experience dealing with customers who didn't know how to explain what was wrong with their vehicles. Let's take a look under the hood then. Though I got to admit, I've never worked on anything quite like this before. The three visitors exchanged what might have been nervous glances through their reflective faceplates. The shortest one spoke in those same clicking sounds, which their device translated as, "We were assured this was a remote location. Your assistance will be compensated with advanced technology." "Oh, you're one of those tech startup companies." Miguel chuckled, already examining what he assumed was their prototype vehicle. "Don't worry about payment. Let's just figure out what's wrong first. Though I got to say, your marketing department is really going all out with these costumes." As he worked, Miguel couldn't shake the feeling that something was odd about these customers. For one thing, they seemed increasingly agitated as he casually solved problems with their prototype. When he suggested a simple modification to their cooling system using parts from an old refrigerator, the middle-sized visitor actually stumbled backward. "This solution, how did you conceive it?" their translator asked. Miguel shrugged, already elbow-deep in what was actually an alien atmospheric processor. "Oh, you know how it is. Had a similar problem with my cousin's food truck last summer. Same basic principle. You got something that needs cooling. You figure out the most efficient way to move heat around." The aliens, though Miguel was still convinced they were just enthusiastic cosplayers, huddled together, speaking rapidly in their clicking language. Their translation device caught fragments. "Impossible. Primitive technology. Should not understand. Contact protocols." "Hey," Miguel called out, "while I'm in here, want me to take a look at that weird vibration in your propulsion system? Sounds like you might have a misalignment in the quantum field generator." This time, all three visitors took a step back. The tallest one's translator sparked as they asked, "How can you detect the quantum field?" "Oh, that's easy. Makes the same kind of wobble as Mrs. Garcia's washing machine when the stabilizer's off. Just scaled up a bit. I could probably fix it with some parts from that old PlayStation in the break room." The visitors were now backing toward their vehicle, which had started to pulse with an alarming blue light. The shortest one was frantically sending what looked like distress signals on a holographic display, while the middle one kept repeating something their translator rendered as code omega, code omega. Miguel wiped his hands again, frowning at their obvious distress. "Look, if you're worried about the cost, we can work something out. Though I got to say, if you're going to market this prototype, you might want to redesign that quantum chamber. I mean, it's pretty good, but my niece could probably sketch out some improvements. She's really into physics, just started high school." That was apparently the last straw. The aliens practically dove into their vehicle, leaving behind what looked like a solid gold credit card and a lot of confused clicking sounds that the translator rendered as "too soon." Too soon, the alien's translation device gave out with a sad little chirp, just as Sofia Herrera walked into the shop carrying a tray of fresh lemonade. She took one look at the situation. Three clearly panicked extraterrestrial beings, their liquid metal ship humming ominously, and her father calmly wiping engine grease off a component that definitely wasn't from Earth. "Dad," she said, setting down the tray, "remember when Mom said you needed to stop adopting every stray that came into the shop?" "These folks aren't strays, Miguel replied, pulling out his notebook and sketching a quick diagram. "They're customers. Though their translator just died, so we'll have to get creative." Sophia watched as her father held up the diagram, pointing to different parts and using exaggerated hand gestures. The alien's body language screamed confusion, but Miguel continued as if this was just another Tuesday afternoon challenge. See, he sketched another diagram. Your quantum stabilizer is out of alignment because you're using a linear configuration. If you reroute it through a toroidal pattern, like this. He drew a quick circle with arrows. You'll get better efficiency and less stress on the containment field. The middle alien leaned forward, mandibles clicking rapidly as they studied the drawing. They pulled out their own device, projecting a holographic schematic that made Sophia whistle appreciatively. Oni, a fourth-dimensional engineering interface. She stepped forward, gesturing at the hologram. But why are you using monopolar quantum injection? Wouldn't a bipolar system be more stable? Like this. She manipulated the hologram with intuitive gestures, rearranging the alien engine design. The shortest alien made a sound like a startled tea kettle. Lemonade? Sophia offered, holding out a glass. When the alien just stared, she demonstrated how to drink it through a straw. It's hot out, and I'm guessing those environment suits aren't exactly breezy. The tallest alien cautiously accepted a glass, figured out how to connect it to their suit's intake system, and made a series of delighted trilling sounds. Now, Miguel said, pulling up a chair, about that propulsion system. I've got some ideas that might help. Sophia, grab my old tablet, the one with your physics homework sketches on it. For the next hour, father and daughter worked with the increasingly amazed aliens using a combination of drawings, gestures, and impromptu charades to communicate complex engineering concepts. Sophia's high school physics doodles turned out to be surprisingly useful for explaining quantum mechanics through pictures. See, if you think of quantum fields like waves in a pool, she explained, drawing ripples in her lemonade with a straw, then your current configuration is like trying to do a cannonball in the shallow end. But if you reshape the field like this, she arranged some nuts and bolts on the table, you get much better energy distribution. The aliens were now taking notes, their earlier panic replaced by fascinated attention. The middle one had even accepted a second glass of lemonade. And this part, Miguel added, pointing to their engine core, reminds me of the cooling system in Juan's food truck. If you offset the thermal exchangers and add a bypass loop, like in my cousin's design for his tamal warmer, you'd solve that overheating issue. The shortest alien was now recording everything with what looked like a scientific instrument, muttering what their backup translator occasionally rendered as impossible and council must know. Sophia erased part of her diagram and redrew it. Also, I don't need to criticize, but your inertial dampeners look like they're working way too hard. If you want, I could show you this cool thing I figured out while doing my science fair project on roller coaster physics. The alien's backup translator managed one last phrase before giving out entirely. They solve quantum physics, with food trucks and carnival rides. Miguel just smiled, pulling out another notebook. Now about that payment, forget the advanced technology. How about you just let me know if my suggestions work? Maybe come back next week. Sophie is making enchiladas on Thursday, and we'd love to hear how the modifications hold up. Louis' Tech Review channel wasn't usually this busy at 3 a.m., but the video he posted 2 hours ago had already crashed 3 different streaming platforms. He adjusted his camera and started recording an update, his excitement barely contained. Okay, followers, let's break down this alien spacecraft's design flaws. Thanks to Miguel and Sophia's sketches, you're both legends, by the way, we can see their quantum field configuration is totally last century. I mean, if they just watched my video on optimizing gaming rigs, they'd understand why parallel processing beats linear every time. Across the globe, the response to humanity's first official alien contact was unlike anything the galactic community had anticipated. Instead of panic, the internet exploded with technical discussions, cultural exchange proposals, and an overwhelming number of memes. Dr. Sarah Patel's engineering blog temporarily shut down Cambridge University's servers when she posted her analysis. Preliminary studies on extraterrestrial quantum drive inefficiencies and proposed solutions based on Earth public transportation systems. The comment section was filled with transit workers offering surprisingly insightful suggestions about improving alien propulsion systems. Look, she wrote in a viral Twitter thread, if the London Underground can move millions of people daily with Victorian-era infrastructure, we can definitely help our space friends optimize their quantum mechanics. Has anyone shown them how we fixed the Northern Line signal problems? Meanwhile, in Japan, a group of high school students had already created a viral TikTok series explaining alien technology through anime references. Their breakdown of quantum field theory using cat memes and video game physics had several Nobel laureates leaving impressed comments. Professor Carlos Mendoza's Food Science Department at the University of Mexico City launched a research initiative titled Interstellar Gastronomy, adapting Earth cuisines for various alien physiologies. Their first paper, using traditional fermentation techniques to make tacos compatible with silicon-based life forms, became the most downloaded scientific publication in history. The aliens' emergency calls to their superiors became increasingly frantic as they monitored Earth's information networks. Their reports painted a terrifying picture. Humans weren't just accepting the reality of alien life, they were casually proposing improvements to technologies that had taken the galaxy millennia to develop. Hey Space Friends, posted a 15-year-old from Singapore, attaching detailed engineering diagrams. I noticed your atmospheric suits struggle with heat distribution. Here's how we solved that in our robotics club last semester. Bonus. It'll work better, and you can add cup holders. NASA's official response came in the form of a collaboration invitation. While we appreciate our visitors' advanced technology, we believe there's room for mutual learning. For instance, has anyone shown them how we fixed the oxygen recyclers on the ISS using duct tape and a DVD case? Lu Wei's follow-up video, 10 Simple Mods to Improve Your Alien Spaceship, number 6 will shock their council, broke all existing viewing records. The comments section filled with engineers and mechanics sharing their own suggestions, each one making the observing aliens more nervous than the last. The humans, read one desperate alien report, are treating advanced quantum mechanics like a community art project. They're suggesting improvements based on cooking appliances and public transportation. Their solutions shouldn't work, but our simulations show a 92% probability of success. The final straw came when a group of food truck owners started a Reddit thread about optimizing alien engine cooling systems based on their experiences keeping multiple dishes at different temperatures in small spaces. Their suggestions, while unorthodox, would apparently improve quantum drive efficiency by 47%. We estimate the aliens reported to their increasingly alarmed council that at their current rate of collaborative innovation, humans will have improved our technology beyond our understanding within one standard solar cycle. They're not even taking it seriously, they're having fun. Liu Wei ended his third video of the day with the words that would soon become Earth's unofficial first contact slogan. Like and subscribe for more spaceship improvement tips. Next week, why they're faster than light drive is basically just a really fancy microwave and how we can make it better using kitchen science. Council member Carmen Santos stood in the center of the emergency session chamber, surrounded by holographic displays of Earth's rapidly evolving information networks. Every screen showed a different aspect of humanity's response to first contact, and none of them followed any known psychological models. Distinguished colleagues, she began, her voice steady despite her amazement, we must reconsider everything we thought we knew about human development. Their isolation wasn't a limitation, it was an incubator for something remarkable. The central display showed Liu Wei's latest video, now being watched simultaneously by over 2 billion humans. Next to it, Dr. Patel's engineering blog had spawned thousands of collaborative research projects. The council members watched in stunned silence as humans casually dismantled and improved technologies that had taken centuries to perfect. Look at their problem-solving methodology. Santos continued, highlighting a group of food truck owners discussing quantum physics. While we perfect single solutions, they generate thousands of imperfect but viable alternatives. Their throw everything at the wall and see what sticks approach produces more innovation in a day than most species manage in a decade. The youngest council member, a crystalline being from the Centauri sector, chimed in. But their solutions are unstructured, chaotic. They're suggesting improvements to quantum drive systems based on cooking techniques. Exactly, Santos smiled, pulling up another display. This morning, a human child suggested reconfiguring our standard faster-than-light drive using principles she learned from making ice cream. Our engineers just finished testing her idea. It works. It works better than our current system, and she came up with it while doing her homework. The chamber erupted in concerned murmurs. Santos raised her hand for silence. But here's what's truly fascinating. Their entertainment prepared them for us. Their stories, their games, their endless speculation about alien life. They've been rehearsing first contact for centuries. When we arrived, they didn't see terrifying advanced beings. They saw something they've been imagining, discussing, and planning for their entire cultural history. She gestured, and the displays showed clips from human media, science fiction shows, movies, books, games. They've explored every possible first contact scenario in their stories. They've solved fictional problems more challenging than our real ones. Their children grow up playing games that accidentally teach quantum mechanics through puzzle solving. The council's chief scientist, Dr. Lee, spoke up. This morning, I received 7,000 emails from human scientists proposing collaboration projects. 300 of them included solutions to problems we haven't even told them about yet. They're not just learning our technology, they're predicting our challenges. Santos nodded, bringing up her final display, a live feed of social media reactions. Look at their response to learning they're not alone. No panic, no crisis. Instead, they're organizing welcome parties, planning cultural exchange programs, and creating what they call memes about our technological oversights. They're treating the most significant moment in their history like a long-anticipated meeting with old friends. The Arcturian representative's voice echoed through the chamber. Are you suggesting we lift the quarantine? I'm suggesting we didn't understand its purpose, Santos replied. We thought we were protecting the galaxy from humanity. Instead, we gave them something unprecedented in galactic history, the freedom to develop without external influence. Their isolation forced them to solve every problem independently, creating solutions we never imagined. She paused, watching as another of Li Wei's videos went viral, this one explaining how to improve alien neural interfaces using principles from video game design. Humanity doesn't follow our rules for development because they never learned them. They don't know what's supposed to be impossible, so they achieve it anyway. They don't know what's supposed to be difficult, so they solve it with whatever tools they have at hand. Their isolation didn't stunt their growth. It freed them from our limitations. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. On the displays, humanity continued its cheerful reinvention of galactic technology, one impossible solution at a time. The Galactic Council's Grand Reception Hall had been prepared according to every known diplomatic protocol. Representatives from 342 species gathered in their finest ceremonial attire, waiting for humanity's first official delegation. Ambassador Jinwei Zhang stood near the entrance, remembering how her curiosity had inadvertently triggered this historic moment. They're approaching the outer markers, announced Director Tanaka, who had insisted on personally overseeing security. The human ship is, well, it's definitely human. The massive viewing screen showed an approaching vessel that made several council engineers wince. The humans had apparently taken the basic designs they glimpsed from their alien visitors and improved them in ways that defied conventional physics. The ship looked like a perfect fusion of countless galactic design philosophies, each modified with what the project lead had called some neat tricks we learned from professional skateboarding. Captain David Park's voice came through the communication system, clear and cheerful. Galactic Council Station, this is Earth ship exploration. We come in peace and we brought snacks. like a lot of snacks. Our cultural exchange team got really excited. The ship's design wasn't the only surprise. Instead of the expected diplomatic vessel, humanity had sent what they called a community outreach ship. Its crew included engineers, scientists, artists, chefs, teachers, and what they termed professional problem solvers. We figured, Captain Park explained as the ship docked with elegant precision using a maneuvering system based on hummingbird flight patterns, that if we're joining a galactic community, we should bring a bit of everything that makes Earth special. The airlock cycled and humanity's first official representatives stepped into galactic society. They had foregone traditional diplomatic attire in favor of what they called business casual with flair. The Council's protocol officers had nearly fainted when they learned the humans had crowdsourced their first contact outfits through a social media contest. Dr. Miguel Herrera, now Earth's chief of interspecies technical exchange, and still a practicing mechanic, led the engineering team. Sophia, having graduated early and earned multiple PhDs in record time, headed the science division. Lu Wei, whose channel now had more subscribers than Earth's total population, managed public relations. Before we begin, Captain Park announced, "We'd like to share something with you." Our response to learning we weren't alone wasn't just excitement, it was recognition. Every culture on Earth has stories about reaching for the stars, about meeting new friends among the planets. We've been preparing for this moment our entire history. Sophia stepped forward, activating a holographic display that made several council engineers gasp. We've also brought some suggestions. Nothing major, just a few thousand improvements to common technologies. Did you know you can increase quantum efficiency by 40% using principles from Japanese paper folding? My niece figured that out during art class. The council chamber buzzed with mixed awe and anxiety as humanity's representatives began sharing their ideas. Each suggestion seemed to start with phrases like, "We were thinking," or "This might sound crazy, but," and ended with solutions that redefined what the galaxy considered possible. Also, Miguel added with a warm smile, "We brought food." My wife insisted. She said no first meeting is complete without good snacks. We've adapted everything for all known biochemistries. The silicon-based empanadas are particularly good, if I do say so myself. As the reception proceeded, the council gradually realized something profound. Humanity hadn't just prepared to join galactic society. They'd spent their isolation becoming exactly what the galaxy needed. Their unique approach to problems, their casual brilliance, their ability to find solutions in the most unlikely places. These weren't bugs in their development. They were features. The original rule, "Never disturb the humans," was officially archived. In its place, a new principle was established. When humans offer help, say yes. And somewhere in the reception hall, amid discussions of art and science and food and dreams, humanity did what it had always done best. It made the impossible seem not just possible, but obvious. After all, they'd been practicing for this moment their entire lives. They were finally home among the stars.